Welcome back to another final table commentary. We got the Titans event from Scoop 2024. We got another stacked final table, and we're starting off with a couple of strong hands here. Queen Jack suited for Hello Toddy. They're going to raise this one up off the big stack. He actually just jams. Kings for Nacho. Ace Queen can hit the muck now. Uh-oh. Queen or 10? 10. Nope. The Kings make a boat. Hello Toddy down to 20 blinds now. Full double for Nacho with the King. Wowie. Wow, what a start to the final table. Pads with ace 10. Lex in the small blind. Wild ace Hun in the big blind with jack 4. This one should just get through. We got the nerd guy sitting there with 38 bigs. Romeo Pro. Ace and a 10 under the gun. Gonna go for the raise off 28. Kirby Love off 14. And Raffleshuff to round us out with 36 blinds. So not a super deep heads up. Nobody's got more than 50 bigs. So it shouldn't be super long, as we just don't have enough chips in play to make this a couple hour long final table, but hopefully we still get to see a good battle here between all these strong players. Gonna see a lot of raising, a lot of the raises get through. We got so many 20 big blind stacks. We're gonna see a lot of jams as Hello Toddy took the Queen Jack suited for right around 20 bigs and just shoved from the cutoff. I think it was. Anyways, this one hand's gonna fold around Romeo Pro. They're just gonna rip in the 9 Jack suited. Kirby Love with King Jack finds the call. Any 7, 6 will do. Another 6 for Romeo Pro, making 3 of a kind. And we get our first knockout for Kirby Love. Romeo Pro picking up their 14 blinds or so. Gets an ace and a queen. Probably gonna go for the min raise. Raffle shove in the small blind with 38 bigs. Can't be jamming. Not yet. Hello Toddy defends the big 5-5-4 flop. Nothing doing for 10 jack. One big blind bet from the ace queen will get through. Lex gets an ace and a queen. We've seen like 3 or 4 of those so far. This one will get through pre-flop. Lex takes down the blinds and moves along. Folds around a Nacho in the small blind with a 9 and a deuce. This is a weird hand. We're playing 20 big blinds deep. Pads with 4-6-0. Plays check. Queen 10-9 flop. Nacho checks it on over. I've seen a lot of these weird 4-6, like the random low cards that don't connect at all. They just are going to check it on down all the way to the river. Might try to rep the one-liner now. 4-6 is not going to be good here. Pads is sizing up a bet. 2.2 to go. Hard to call here with a pair, but we did check it all the way down to the river. So Nacho finds the call, and Pads shows him the 6 high. Nice call there by Nacho. 9 deuce. Pair of 9s with no kicker. One-liner to the jack. No worry for Nacho. Anyways, we move right on along. Nacho right back in there with an ace and a 5 from the button, facing an all-in from Lex's big blind. The pocket 10, so we'll get the raise through. Ace Queen for nerd guy. Romeo Pro with the suited ace 10, thinking about going for a 3-bet. Does find it. We see Lex folding a 10 in the small blind. Nerd guy, looks like we can call. What if he's going for the raise? Oh, he just finds the fold. I was not expecting that. But nice little play there by Romeo Pro. Nerd guy just goes into trip preservation mode. That is interesting. We didn't want to see the under the gun +1 go for the 3-bet. Such a small size too. I kind of figured nerd guy was going to go to the flop. I don't think we were going to jam there. But nerd guy finds the fold, and we move along. Romeo Pro gets another one through pre-flop. Bop-a-dee-doo. Ace 8 for pads. This will be a learning lesson for me. What do we do here with 16 big blinds? Goes for the raise, not all in. Nerd guy with ace 4 suited in the small blind. This is a 3-betting hand. Jams. Romeo Pro obviously going to fold the 5 high. Now pads, what do we do here? Do we just fold? Yeah, we just fold. He just went all in. We just have to fold. This is so unfortunate for Pads, who's down to 14 bigs now. Oh, Nerd Guy being a bit of a bully there. But it was a 3-betting hand. Makes lots of sense. As we see another 3-bet come in from Nacho. This time with the Queen Jack suited. Hello Toddy playing off about 18 big blinds in total. Another spot where we didn't want to see this frickin' 3-bet. And Hello Toddy just has to lay down the better hand. Wow, that's so cool. So we got to see that twice, a 3-bet from under the gun +1 against the player raising with the stronger hand under the gun. But we're just in situations where the under the gun player with the stronger hand has to fold. Wowie wee wah. Doopity doo. Jacks for Nerd Guy. Gonna go for the raise. So I'm just thinking about the ladders here. We got a 7k pay jump if we get a ladder. We got 3 players who are really close to busting. And then we got Lex, Nerd Guy, Raffle Shove hanging out at about 25 to 30 big blinds each. King 4-4 flop. Not the best for jacks. They check it on over. Raffle Shove with no equity checks it back. 10 on the turn. I guess he's got a queen. He can smack a queen. What am I talking about? And he can bluff if he wants to, but I don't think so. Queen 8 of diamonds. When we don't got any diamonds out there, we'll just check and fold on the turn. Sorry, we'll check back the flop and fold on the turn is what I was trying to say. Anyways, we move along. Romeo Pro with the queen in the 10. Doopity doo. Getting another one through pre. 45 blinds now. Ace 5, we'll see if he takes this spot. Looks like he isn't going to pass up on any of them. Lex in the big blind with King 10. I think we're going to the flop. 10, 7, 3. 2 spades for Romeo Pro. This could get interesting if we see a spade on the turn. Put a 4 spades out there, dealer. Okay, a 4 hearts. Still kind of interesting. Any 6 or deuce will do for Romeo. The spade he can bluff on. Doopity doo. If he goes for the big bet on the turn, I wonder if Lex just check raises all in. Or do we just go into check call? Evaluate on the river. 10 on the river. No folding from Lex here. He's going in the tank. Might lead out. Stack to pot ratio is enough for him to just shove. But that's kind of weird now, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of weird. But the straight draws miss, such as 8, 9, 5, 6. Spades miss. Romeo Pro with a 5 and his spade says I'm just going to fold. Ace 9 for Hello Toddy. They're thinking about sticking this one in. And they do put in most of their chips and they get an ace and a 10 to fold. So that's good news for Hello Toddy. Doopity doo. 13 blinds for them. Seems like they're going to be a player who's just going to try to get back in the tournament. Take all their spots. While the Ace Hun will finally get to hear from. With the Ace and the King, we'll rip it on in. Looking at an open and a call. Lex does fold the pocket pair, so this one will get through pre-flop. While the Ace Hun, right around 22 big blinds. Hello Toddy with an Ace and a 10. Off 13, we'll play 3.5x. This should get through pre. Da-betty-doo, da-da-betty-doo. Aces for Lex. That's a nice hand. Couple 3-betting potential hands for Wild Ace Hun and Romeo Pro. Do we ever just call from the small? I don't know if we have enough chips to be doing that. A 3-bet could come in. Okay, so Romeo Pro says I'm just going to call. We aren't playing super deep. Only about 27 big blinds behind. Straight draw and flush draw for Romeo Pro. This is pretty damn scary for aces. 10-9 is a straight. Lex bets about a third. Romeo Pro gonna go for the raise on the flop. He just jams. We see he's got 42% equity, but that'll go up to 50. Pretty well a flip here if Lex calls. Whoa, and Lex does fold the aces. No surprise there. You're going to see a lot of 2 pairs, the straight And then you're going to see some flush or some combo draws, so the straight and flush draws. Not the best spot for aces. We do see 6 high get it through, but again, that's just going to be one of the few combo draws that he's going to do that with. And even when he's got the combo draw, you are a slight underdog, 49% or whatever it was. Pretty well flipping. So if you're calling in, the best case scenario is that you're flipping. Seems like a pretty bad call. You could just be dead. Doopity-doo. Lex folds the aces. Moving along off 30 blinds. Gets the ace and the jack this time. Pads might come along to a flop. And if Nacho bloats this pot, he's certainly going to come along. Nacho didn't call. But I think Pads still comes along to the flop. He says no, actually. Seems like one of those hands where we just hope to make a pair and hope that it's good. Pad says, no, I'm going to move along. Maybe I'll get a ladder. Maybe I'll get a better hand. Like, Lex hasn't been super aggressive, so the open does seem a little bit tighter. Even though I don't think Lex is going to be playing tight. Folds around to pads. They're going to fold the queen 5. King jack in the small blind will limp in. Wild ace hun, we'll check it back. Jack 10 6 flop. Not much doing for 8 deuce. Backdoor straight draws. Just gonna fold on the flop and move right on along. Queen 7 suited. I wonder if Pads takes this spot. Nope. Nerd guy with 32 bigs facing a limp from Wild Ace Hun. Only playing 22 effective. We'll just jam. That one gets through pre-flop and we move along. Doop-a-doo, folding around on the small blind again. This time the nerd guy with a queen and a jack gonna limp in. Romeo Pro with 10-6-0. Checks it back. Jack 7 deuce flop. Again, the imposition player with no real equity, just some backdoor straight draws. Facing a 1 big blind bet. Will find the fold. Aces this time for Wild Ace Hun. 21 big blinds deep. What do we do here? I like our options. We can go for a non-all-in 3-bet. 4.5x it is. Nacho with the king 9 suited. The unfortunate thing about this very small 3-bet is the range is so dang tight that typically you still can't call. I wonder what like a suited ace does though. Give him ace 10 suited. I bet he's coming along to the flop. Although we saw a fold from ace queen earlier from the nerd guy facing a super small 3-bet. But that was again the under the gun +1 range, where Wild Ace Hun was in middle position, facing an under the gun range or under the gun open. So it's still a pretty tight range from Wild Ace Hun with the 3-bet. Boppity doo. Anyways, we're moving along. Nacho will fold the 10-7. Raffle shove takes down the blinds. Ace king for nerd guy. Bippity doo. Look, I'm just looking at Pads' hands, and I'm thinking, like, I feel like we have to call here. This range isn't going to be super wide. Just seems like we have to call, go to the flop, see if we can make a pair. If we do, we would rip. We don't have a straight draw. We're just going to check fold now. All in from the ace king. And the queen 9 folds. Romeo Pro with ace queen. Hello Toddy with an ace king suited. 1 queen for Pads folded. I don't know what the nerd guy or Wild Ace had. Looks to be a spot where Hello Toddy should get a double up here. Can't fold ace queen. Any queens dealer. Oh, on the turn, but the flush gets there on the river. Ooh, that was a fun little hand there. Romeo Pro doubling up Hello Toddy. 25 blinds. It's going to be fun to see what Hello Toddy can do off that. We saw earlier they're just going to get super aggressive, and we love to see it. Holy crap. I think Hello Toddy can make a comeback. One double up away from first place position. And that super aggressive willingness to battle each hand out. Oh boy, this is going to be a fun one as we see Nacho picking up a straight draw and flush draw on the turn here. Doopity-doo. Raffle Shove still has the best of it and picks up a straight draw to the 10. About a half pot size bet from Nacho. Would be an awkward river sizing. Would have a little bit more than the full pot size bet behind, but in the end, Raffle Shove just folds the ace jack and we move along. Pads will take this spot with ace jack. Wild ace hun will play with the ace 6. Gonna need a 6. Any 6s. Oh my lord, a 6 on the river. That's very unlucky for Pads. Kinda hung on out there. Very first hand they had to fold the ace queen suited when there was an open jam from Hello Toddy. Nacho had the king king. So that was a nice play. There's a few other spots where I was just wondering if they should go to the flop, and Pad said no, I don't think I should. I should go into chip preservation mode. Hopefully one of the other shorties will bust. So Pad's is teaching us some lessons. Just don't be afraid to fold the big blind. If you've right around like the 10 big blind mark maybe. If you aren't on the final table, things are different, but because we are on the final table, we're looking to make ladders when we become that short stack. We're looking to find a spot where we can get back into the game. Pads with the ace jack gets called by ace 6, and unfortunately he's out of the tournament. Well, we'll move along with our remaining 7 players. Nerd guy with 3-3 is going to go for the open. Romeo Pro with a 9 jack suited. Felt like that was going to be a play, but he just finds a fold. Hello Toddy in the big blind with king 8-0. Do we just let this one go? Feels a little too strong to fold, but we might just let it go. No, we go for the 3-bet actually. Nerd guy with 3-3. It's either all in or fold. I don't think we ever call here. 3s do hit the muck. Hello Toddy takes that down pre-flop with a weak hand. The king 8-0. Too strong to let go pre-flop. But once you put it into the 3-betting range, it's a pretty weak hand. Bottom of your range probably. But who knows with Hello Toddy. We might just see a lot of 3-betting from the big blind. From a player that we suspect should be opening a lot. Ace king for wild ace. Nacho with a pocket pair of 10s just plays call and he flops a set. Out of position. This will be a little bit difficult to maximize value, but wild ace hun does stick in a little raise on the flop. So dry. Hopefully Nacho just calls, blocking all the top pairs. Does put in a very small 3-bet. There's still the 5-6 straight draw. I don't think 5 deuce is in there. 5-6 gets there on the turn, as well as diamonds. Pick up the flush draw. 8-9 with the straight draw, but I don't think that's calling the raise on the flop. Don't think that's raising under the gun for wild ace hun. So in that situation, I think Nacho's just gonna see a lot of high cards and some over pairs. Nacho, I suppose, was trying to maximize value against the over pairs. But wild ace hun just with the ace king lets it go on the turn. Nerd guy with 4 deuce gets a walk. You love to see that. Uh-oh, Hello Toddy with king jack suited plays limp. Lex with queens is gonna go for the raise. Surely. Right? I think we ISO the limp. 3.2x. Oh, and Hello Toddy has a jamming hand. Hopefully for their sake they can just find the fold. But this just feels like an all-in from Hello Toddy. He's gonna need a king, a couple jacks, some hearts. Oh, he plays call. Okay, another stupid board for Lex to navigate with the overpair. This one though doesn't have a flop straight. The straight draws such as 5-4 are very unlikely. The flush draw does go for the check raise. He's gonna need a king or heart. Hello Toddy's out of here as we see 8-7 runner The run out is 8-7 is what I was trying to say. Lex getting pretty well a double up. 54 blinds now in a very comfortable first place position. Wowie wee wah. Queens again. Nacho defending ace-7. Has 3 in a row. Sees a small bet. Lex the big stack now. We could see a call from Nacho, but they just let it hit the muck. Doopity doo. Lex with a 10 and a 2 in the big blind. We'll just let that go pre. It was suited. I thought he was going to play it. Don't know why. Raffle shove with an ace and a jack. They'll get another raising opportunity. And another one that will get through pre-flop. King 5 suited for Nacho. They're going to bump this one on up. And Nerd Guy with the ace and the king in the big blind. Could see an all-in. Could see a non-all-in 3-bet. We'll see what Nerd Guy thinks. Just the jam. Doopity doo. So if we made it like 8 big blinds, Nacho isn't necessarily likely to call in that situation. Like, what is he going to call there with? Maybe some strong pocket pairs that he doesn't want to go all in with. Then some suited connected broadways and whatnot. Although sometimes you just start to lay those down on the final table, as we see Wild Ace Hun get one through pretty. So say Nacho opened up Queen Jack suited, he might just find a fold to a non-all-in 3-bet, because again the ranges are going to be pretty tight there. Boopity boo. Anyways, we're going to move along with the same situation brewing. Lex with the ace and the queen, Nacho with an ace and a 7. Nacho does call the raise, Jack 10 2 flop. Not much doing for a7. Let it go, Nacho. There you go. Boopity doo. It's unfortunate to see Romeo Pro down to 24 blinds after playing very, very aggressive, very well played final table from them. Sitting in third last out of 5. No, there's 6 players, my bad. My eyes are a little broken. I should put my glasses back on. Raffle shove with an open with a jack in the 10. Oh, everything is so clear now. King 10 calls. Queen 4 deuce flop. 2 clubs out there, both players with a club. Raffle shove with 3 in a row. Nerd Guy is the backdoor straight draw 2. The king high could be good. You got an overcard. And he finds the fold with a very small bet. Doopity doo. Nacho with the queen and the 9 going for the open. Romeo Pro with 9-6 in the big blind. Thinking about defending, but not this time. Wow, Nacho picking up a few holdings. Ace King. Getting another one through pre-flop. I suppose it doesn't matter if you pick up a hand pre-flop. If you don't get action, you just take down the blinds and move along. You're pretty well in the same position. Because even for Nacho to tie things up with Nerd Guy, I don't necessarily think that's super relevant. Lex is still going to put pressure on both of you. Going to be a little easier for Lex to put pressure on Nacho as he has direct position on him. Doopity doo. We both got a straight draw. Ace high board. This ain't no chop. Nacho's king plays. Raffle's thinking about going for the raise though. Does put out 2 big blind bet and a quick call from the king high. Nice play there by Nacho. It's been a very well played final table from Nacho. He did benefit from picking up kings on the very first hand, but it showed us what he can do once he gets the opportunity to pick up the chips. Boppity doo. 4-10 goes for the limp, flops a pair of 10s. 3 deuce with a backdoor straight draw. Ooh, he picks up the straight draw on the turn. A 4 would be a horrific card for Lex, but I don't know if 3-2 calls. Might just be a fold. Doop-a-dee-doo. Ace queen for raffle shove. Goes for the open. And nerd guy with a 9-5 suited in the big blind. Does play call, flops top pair. Paired board, raffle shove. Might put out a little bet here with the backdoor flush draw. 2 overs. Looks like a pretty good board for us. 1.3 big blinds to go. Nerd guy's sizing up a raise. Or call. In the end he lands on call. Jack on the turn. Da-ba-dee-doo. Just under 8 big blinds in the middle. Raffle shove does check it back. Diamonds get there. There's no real straight draws on the flop. So raffle shove is going to see a lot of pair of 9s and then some flushes. So I think I would like a big bet here. But raffle shove does just check it down. I want to try to get a 9 to fold. I wanted to see if nerd guy would fold or not. Facing a big bet on the river. Once the king X gets there. Maybe the king X wouldn't go for a large bet, so maybe you shouldn't do the large bet. Maybe you should only go like 66% or something, 2/3. Interesting hand there. Maybe there's just some ace highs that you beat in raffle shove shoes. Ace jack gets there on the turn. Ace 10 maybe. Oh, it just seems like there's very little of it. Maybe some like backdoor wheel draws call on the flop with the backdoor. No, they can't have the backdoor flush draws. Raffle shove had it. Maybe raffle shove just conceded defeat on that hand. Just said, look, it wasn't a very good run out for me. Jack king when the diamond's complete. You're very likely to have a pair in nerd guy's shoes. If not the flush. Wow, so raffle shove just is teaching lessons there by not betting. Saying, hey, if I'm lucky, you'll have ace 10, maybe some wheel draw. Doop-a-dee-doo. Looks like raffle shove should get a few chips back here. Well, maybe not. Romeo Pro's going to go for the raise with ace 10. Jack, jack. What do we do? Do we call? Do we go all in? Just a jam, and then ace queen in the big blind does hit the muck. So Romeo Pro can probably find a fold too. So about 6 blinds in total for raffle shove, and then he's going to get the old pocket 9s. It doesn't matter if the ace queen didn't work from the one time. Oh, but what if Lex jams? Lex does jam. Oh boy. What do we do here with 9-9, 20 big blinds? Wild ace hunt only has 11, Romeo Pro off 17. We do see a call, a 10 on the flop, ace on the river, there's no help for the 9s. Doop-a-dee-doo. So raffle shove wasn't too worried about the ladders. Could have made a nice pretty penny had he just folded the 9s and had Romeo Pro and wild ace hunt busted. But you're hoping for so much. So maybe in that situation raffle shove just says, I want to get back in the game. This seems like it's a good spot. Lex could have plenty of weaker pocket pairs that do this. Maybe even some suited ace X that he's dominating. Whoa, wowie wee wah. So Lex up to 81 blinds. Pocket 7's going to go for the opening, get it through pre. He's got almost half the chips in play. Wow, pretty nice run for Lex. Didn't do nothing wrong, didn't do anything. Oh, well, but I like this. The 6-5 going for the raise pre. Now that he's got the chips, he's going to start to do the things. He's got a straight draw, goes for a third pot size bet on the flop. Nacho with 2 overs in the backdoor flush draw, can't fold. 6 on the turn that completes the front door flush draw. Lex now with the best of it. Ace of spades on the river. Nacho retakes the lead with the hand, but there's a 4 flush on the board. Lex doesn't rep it. Checks down the pair of 6s, and Nacho does take the pot. 42 blinds now. Romeo was thinking about it with the king and the 8. Ooh, we see queen 10 jam. Ace king gets a call. Oh my lord, straight draw on the turn, but Lex doesn't hit it. It's only a 20 big blind pot, but very important for Wild Ace Hun. His life was on the line. Now he has the Jack 10 suited and 20 blinds. In the small blind, he's just going to jam, and Nerd Guy has an ace. We see the equities are super close here. Jack 10 does just get it through. Wowie wee wow, we had some action there. Queen 7 might just rip. That it does. Nerd Guy takes that down pre. Ace 9 for Wild Ace Hun. Ace is waiting in the big blind. Aces, what do we do? Go for the small 3-bet. 6.5x. Wild Ace Hun not going to call here. Could do some crazy all-in, but not likely with the Ace 9 off. Not a hand to do it with. Romeo Pro could jam Ace 5 suited here. Does stick in 7 blinds. Lex will quickly put them all in. Romeo Pro's going to need an ace, some 3 deuce 4, some clubs. Isn't going to fold. Oh my lord, Jack on the flop. 8 for a chop, but nope, it won't hit. Just like that, Lex's run continues. Doopity-doo. As a queen 8 in the small, but he's going to find the fold. Ace 6 for Nacho on the button. Gets called by king 7. Queen 10 for flop. Small bet from Nacho will get through. Queen Jack for Nacho. 3-bet from Lex's king 6 suited. We like to see it. Wrong timing as Wild Ace Hun wakes up with a strong pocket pair. He's going to jam. And Lex snap folds. Dookity-doo. Ace Jack for Wild Ace Hun. This one won't get through pre-flop. Nacho with the 8 deuce flops very well. Middle pair in the flush draw, making the flush on the turn. Locking up the blind, or the pot. Lex getting a walk with Jack 4. Doopity-doo. 9's in the small blind. Lex goes for the 3.5x. See what Wild Ace Hun thinks about that. They say, well, let's go to the flop. This is too good to fold pre. Queen of clubs is out there, but the other 2 cards are kind of shitty. 7-7 is no help. With 5 on the turn is no help for king 10, so they just have to find the fold. Lex takes down a nice little pot there. Bumpity boom. 8-6 limping in. Nerd Guy with 10-2. Plays raise to 3 big blinds. Wild Ace just folds and blinds go up. Uh-oh, Ace Queen. Ace 10 in the big blind. Nacho just calls, flops the nut flush draw. Lex starts things off with a small bet. Nacho calls 5 on the turn. 6-7 makes a straight. The flush misses, but we both make a pair of aces on the river. Nacho leads 10 blinds and Lex quickly calls, and that will officially give him over half the chips in play. Doopity-doo. That's a large bet on the river there from Nacho, who's going to jam the 8s here for just under 30 blinds and get it through. Gets himself back in second place position. Lex going for the limp with 8-7. Wild Ace Hun rips in the ace. Gets it through pre. Ace 9, Nacho raising from the cutoff. Lex calls the Ace Queen this time. Nerd Guy with 8-7 suited would probably like to come along to the flop. King 7-3, all spades. That's no good. Ace Queen does find the fold. Nerd Guy with the pair of 7s. This is such a weird spot. Does find the call. Nacho sees a 9 big blinds in the middle. Might want to fight for it. He will check back the turn and make a pair and the flush. Doesn't matter which he plays, this pot is his. We see a little block bet from Nerd Guy. Nacho deep in the tank. He sticks in the raise with the 9-high flush here. Interesting stuff. And surely Nerd Guy will find the fold. What if he jammed though? I would have been jumping out of my seat. 10 jack for Nerd Guy, gonna limp it on in. We saw Wild Ace Hun for 20 blinds, just open rip. This hand's got some playability, so Nerd Guy says I want to take it to the post flop. 7-6-4, 2 clubs, that's no good for Jack 10, but thankfully Nacho checks back the flop, so we see a 10 on the turn. Nerd Guy with the top is the pairs, 9 on the river, so there's a 1-liner to an 8. Doopity-doo, dop-doppity-doo. Nacho will check back their ace high, surely. So many pairs that we're gonna lose to. Any 8 we lose to, but then there's some queen, jack, king high stuff that we beat. Doopity-doo, da-doppity-doo. I wonder if queen jack would be betting at some point, so maybe there is no queen jack. Maybe it's just the king highs that you beat. Maybe. Doop-a-doo-doo. Got a 6-9 versus a king and a 9. This is a fun one. Both got the flush draw. Deuce of hearts on the turn, just a complete brick. Lex sizes up a 3 big blind bet on the turn here. Looking to push Wild Ace all in on the river. At least that's what it looks like. 10.5 in the middle, about 12 behind. Lex thinks, do I show down the 9 high? And he says, no, I'm going to go all in. This kind of looked like what was going to happen. Then what do we do here? Pretty shitty river, if we're being honest, now that this any jack makes a straight. So if you weren't already losing to the straight, you're losing to it now. Still some flushes out there. Oh no, and we're going to rip in the ace deuce. Nerd Guy's going to call with a7. We're going to need a 2 or 4. Oh no, a 6. That's not it. Nerd Guy will knock out Wild Ace Hun. Just like that. Just an unfortunate circumstance for Wild Ace. Has second pair on a 3 flush board. Has to call, flop, and turn. River's horrific. And just like that, you get an ace in the small blind. You've got 11 bigs. You rip it all in. It doesn't get through. You get called by a better ace-x and you don't hit your straight draw. No! Wild Ace played a very good game. Very patient, but it's kind of what the situation called for, and they got 4th place, considering where they started. They're probably pretty happy about that showing. Nacho with a queen and a 10 goes for the limp. Lex checks back 8-10. Calls on the king queen deuce flop with the backdoor flush draw. Backdoor straight draw. 7 on the turn. Lex does put out a little bet. Facing the check raise from Nacho's second pair on the turn. Just reading right into Lex. Says, I know you're floating me on the flop way too wide. That was a funny hand there. Not too often do you see second pair go for a check raise. King 5 with the bottom pair. Calls 1. Sees a big bet on the turn. Unimproved. Will find the fold. Ace Jack for Lex. Going for the raise. We see 8-5 defend the big. King 4 deuce flop. 1 diamond for Nacho. Does go for the check raise and puts Lex in a weird spot, and he's just going to fold the Ace Jack on the flop just like that. Nice little play by Nacho. Well, we got a fun 3-way battle brewing here. Hopefully Nerd Guy can pick up some chips. Has second pair here. I think I said here 3 times now. Second pair checks back the turn. Lex checking down the ace high with the straight blocker. Do-betty-do, da-da-betty-do. And then we see the bet from Nerd Guy's second pair, and Lex folds ace high. 4-8 from the small, limping in. Nerd Guy with an ace. Might bump it up, might just go to the flop. We go to the flop and we both got a pair. Goes check, check, 9 on the turn. Lex bets 2 big blinds with the worst pair. Gonna need a queen or a 4 here. Don't think there's any reason to bluff. So if Lex goes for a bet, this is a value bet. Quick call from the ace that didn't bet on the flop. Nice play there by Nerd Guy. Finding a way to get Lex to value own himself. Boppity doo. Ace 4 flopping a pair here for Lex in position. Straight draws and flush draws are out there. Feels like a bet, but Lex goes check. Maybe he just wants to keep the pot small, considering it's very likely that his opponent's going to make a better hand than a pair of fours. But after checking back the flop and turn, Lex still finds the call on the river. Nacho shows him the queen. Takes down that pot. Bop-a-doo. Ace 4 versus 4-8. Nacho does flop the flush draw here. Top pair for Lex. 6 on the turn is no help for Nacho. Bop-a-doo. Lex bets large. 7 blinds into 9, and that one will get through. Doop-a-dee-doo. Deuce 3 does play limp. Ace 9-9, ace 9 flop. Nacho bets a big blind, doesn't pick up any equity on the turn, but he still has 3 high. Looks like he's just going to give it up though. 5 on the river, completes nothing. Nacho does just give up with 3 deuce. Lex takes it with the king high. Doop-a-dee-doo. 7-4 looks like a play. It's suited. Oh, and Lex lets it go. Alright, maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe the cutoff is 7-5. Nerd guy with 9-10 suited. Goes for the limp and he faces a raise from Nacho's king jack. Ace queen 3 flop. Nacho bets under 2 bigs into 7.4. Nerd guy with some backdoor equity could call. Picks up a pair of 9s on the turn here. Probably wanted to see a diamond or a jack or a king. An 8. Very large bet on the turn will get through. Nacho, jack 10 suited, goes for the limp. Lex checks back, king 9 suited. 6-5-4 flop. Goes check check, 7 on the turn. Jack high bets about 2 blinds. 9 on the river that completes the flush. Lex with the toppest of pairs I don't think is going to fold here. There's a 1-liner to an 8 or a 3, but that doesn't matter. Lex still calls. And even with the flush completing, the pair of 9s is good for the pot. Queen 10, raising it up. King queen just calls pre and flops 2 pairs. Very small bet. Nacho plays call. Lex with the bottom pair blocks some flush draws, has a straight draw to the jack. We see the 7 of diamonds on the river. Lex isn't calling a bet and had it checked to him. He's probably just checking back the river. I wonder if he ever bets there on the river to try to get a king to fold. Would have been fun to see, but Nacho bet the 2 pairs, so we'll just have to move along. Top pair for Nacho. Limp raise from Lex. Ace high board. We're gonna take a stab. We pick up some equity to the straight draw with a 3, and we block the hearts. 9 of clubs on the river. 32 blinds in the middle. Hard to check back jack high here. Lex does go all in. Oh my lord. Well, Nacho finds the call. Nicely done, Nacho. 104 blinds. What a huge pot there. Lex taking the spot. I'm pretty damn sure that was limped. Limp, raise, call, ace high board. The best hand Nacho's going to show up there with is probably ace jack. I mean, no, they're going to have 2 pairs, right? But the best 1 pair hand is ace jack. So if they're going to have some 2 pairs, surely they can call down with those 2 pairs. Maybe they just think Lex is going to get way too aggressive there, so we see him take the spot with jack 4 with a heart as well. Anyways, we see Lex down to 25 blinds, nerd guy with 31, Nacho with 101. Ace jack going for some thin value, and they do get called by the worst ace high. Nice play there by nerd guy. Doop-a-dee-doo. Nacho calling from the small with the king queen. Nerd guy with the king 3. Ace 8 flop. Goes check, check. Looks like we're chopping this thing up. Unless a queen or 3 comes. Oh, hello, 3. And Nacho bets a big blind. Nerd guy quickly calls and takes it on down. Ace queen goes for a non-all-in 3 bet. Pretty well half his chips. A little bit more than half his chips. Ace queen gets it through and we move along. Nacho with the 10-4. Plays 3.5x. Now that he has the chips, he's going to try to put the pressure on Lex. King 9-9 flop. Checked over to the queen 10 with the straight draw. Bets 2 big blinds. And Nacho quickly folds. Ace 9 for Nacho. Raising it up. And getting it through pre-flop. Ace 10 for Lex. Raising it up. 3-4 suited will call the big blind. Ace queen 3 flop. Nacho does come along to the turn. 6 of clubs. So there's still flush draws and straight draws out there. But Nacho says my pair of 3s is still probably bad. Just let's go of it. Queen 7 for Nacho. Gonna fold. Queen 10 limps in for Lex. Nerd guy with 10-9 suited says let's go to the flop. Lex flops a straight. Nerd guy with middle pair and the open ender. Makes a straight on the turn. And the flush draw. Are you serious, Poker Stars? Nerd guy gonna need a spade. Or queen to chop. Puts in the re-raise with the made straight. And Lex is just licking his chops here. Might 3-bet all in. Just plays call. 3 of spades, or 3 clubs on the river, sorry. So spades miss. Although I gotta say, I like the way Lex has played this. Nerd guy probably still gonna go for value. Try to get called by some 2 pairs or sets. Bets quite large, 10.4. And then Lex has the friggin' nuts. He can just jam and get called by a 10. If Nerd guy could find a fold on the river here, this is gonna be remarkable. Nope, just a snap call, of course, right? Dang it. That was one hell of a hand. Nerd guy gets a very unfortunate cooler in his opponent's favor. Hold. Nerd guy does hold. Makes a pair of kings on the river. No 9 or 3 for Nacho. So we see a 3.5x raise from the ace 5. Lex with the king queen calls. Doesn't pick up too much. Had a little straight draw there. 2 overs. Bets and takes it down. The 3-7 does get it in here. Sees an awful flop. The pair of kings for Lex will pretty well lock things up. Wow, so now we got a super deep heads up battle. We're about 60 blinds deep. They're quickly throwing out some more GLs. And Lex will benefit from it with the queen. I don't know if Nacho calls a 3-bet here. It's a large size too. We can just fold and move along. Uh-oh, 8s and 6s. Another spot I don't think this gets in. We're just way too deep for that. Very small bet. Nacho comes along to the turn. 5 on the river after 7 on the turn goes check, check. River goes check, check as well, and 8s are good. So Poker Stars just lining things up for Lex the first few hands, and he goes for the king 5 3-bet too. He's continuing to use the very large sizing, buying a few pots out of position. Interesting start to the heads up battle. 10 deuce going for the raise. Ace 9 defends the big. 6-5-4 flop. 9 on the turn, which is a spade. So Nacho picks up a few more outs to any spade. Facing just about a pot size bet though. Feels like a fold or raise, and Nacho folds. Although, I just don't think you're gonna float there with 10 high. Both both players with a straight draw. Those miss, except Lex makes a pair of nines on the river. And the ace high pays it off and sees the bad news. Queen deuce versus ace nine, and Lex makes a pair again. So one liner to a 7. 3 hearts out there, so Nacho says I can put a lot of pressure on any one pair hand. 16 blinds in the middle. Nacho's gonna have to fight for this with a big bet here. 12 blinds to go and Lex quickly folds the pair. Nicely done by Nacho to buy that pot. Queen deuce of diamonds. 3 flush board. Wowie wee wah. Bumpity bum. Limp pot checks down to the river, which is an ace. Pair of 4s for Nacho. Facing an overbet finds the call. Nicely done there. Back in first place position. Oh no, we're pretty much tied up. 61.8 big blinds apiece. 3-4 with a pair. Making a straight on the river. Bets 10 big blinds. 2x overbet. Nacho deep in the tank. Calls it off with bottom pair. And just like that, a huge pot going Lex's way. The 2x overbet gets called off by bottom pair. Wow. Okay, we move along. No pairs for nobody in this hand. King high is good. Nacho raising 4 deuce gets it through pre. 4-7 suited will call the big blind and doesn't flop too well. Backdoor straight, backdoor flush, but we see a big bet and go for the check raise. Nacho will get the king high to fold. Nicely done. Deuce 4 for Lex will limp in. Nacho with the king 8 checks it back. Queen 9-4 flop. Bottom pair gets an extra big blind out of Nacho, but Nacho rivers the toppest of pairs. There's a 1-liner to a jack. This just goes check check. Nacho takes 4 blinds. The 4 big blind pot down. Lex gets a 3-bet through with 5-3 suited. That's good news for him. Has been super aggressive from the big blind. We love to see it. Had queens, I think, the second hand when they were in the big blind. Uh-oh. Ace 4 does just call aces for Nacho. But as I was saying, Lex has been super aggressive from the big blind. I think it was the second orbit when they were in the big blind and they had the queen. Went for the large sizing with the 3 bets. Didn't get called and just continued to do that. Continued to put the pressure on from the big blind. Buying a lot of pots pre. Has a straight draw here. Nacho with the made straight. Sees a 7 on the turn, pairing the board. Bets 1.3 big blinds. Flush completes on the river. Lex sitting here with 10 high. Sees a large bet. And Nacho will take it down. 10-8 with the old pair at 8s. Lex with ducks. Ooh, and a deuce on the river. Very small pot, but Lex is gonna make it juicy with 10 big blind with a 10 big blind bet, and it gets called down by Nacho's pair of 8s. Lex has continued to use these large sizings from all situations, except from the raises from the button. He's done a lot of limping. Nacho taking the straight draw and backdoor flush draw and turning it into a check raise on the flop on a paired board, getting it through once again. Lex is open-ended. Goes for the check raise. Nacho with the bottom pair. Does call 9 on the turn. Pretty good card for Lex's range. 8-7 makes a straight. Wowie wee wah. Almost a full pot size bet. Will get the pair to fold. Nicely done by Lex. Just those large bets are putting Nacho in a pickle. We don't see a limp this time. Lex makes a pair of jacks. We'll check it down to the river, which is an 8. No improvement, but Nacho bets full pot with a pair of queens and gets called quickly by the pair of jacks. Nice little pot going Nacho's way. Bum betty bum. A6 going for the raise on the button. Flopping a pair. Nacho is open-ended to the 7 or deuce. Backdoor clubs. Plays call. Large bet on the turn. 8-7 makes a straight, which is obviously better than what Nacho can do, so he just has to fold. Jack 3 with a pair. Nacho with the straight draw, which completes on the river. Picked up a pair of queens on the turn, checked it back. Flush also completes on the river, but that don't matter. Like sitting there with Jack 3, we'll let it go. Doop-a-dee-doo. Limp raise from the king. Or, sorry, when the king 6 faces the limp, he goes for the raise. And then Lex goes for the 3-bet with king 7. He's got Nacho pipped. Nacho calls, no king on the flop. For now, king 7 still plays. 9 big blinds to go. And king 6 folds. Nicely done by Lex. Turning his hand into a bluff. He didn't know he was value betting. Doop-a-dee-doo. 10-8 is open-ended and Nacho has the top as the pairs facing a check raise. Jack on the turn, not the best card, but to be fair, how much Jack X is going for the raise on the flop? Ace Jack, Jack 9. Lex will just let go of their straight draw on the turn. Nacho with bottom pair again, gonna come along to the turn. Flush complete, some straights complete. And another spade, so that will give Lex the flush. Nacho checks it on over. Lex bets 3 blinds into 4.2. And the bottom pair calls. Nice little value bet there by Lex. And he's got the old Jack Jack. We'll see another 3-bet from the big blind. Uses a smaller size this time as Nacho doesn't have as many chips. Doop-a-dee-doo. Queen Jack with the top as the pairs. Bets right around pot on the turn and that will get through. Queen 9 flopping 2 pair. Nacho with not much doing here. Checks back the flop. King on the turn. Jack 10 makes a straight, but Nacho's sitting there with 6 high. He's gonna find the fold. Queen 9 with a pair of 9s in position. Bets a big blind and takes it down. 3s versus ace 10. Does Lex jam? Lex does jam. I think Nacho finds the call here. We haven't seen this though, so maybe Nacho folds, but he's not going to. Ace or 10 dealer. Ace or 10. No, Lex wins with frickin' 3-3. Lex takes down the Titans event. A scoop event from 2024. Event number 41, the high roller. 3-3. 30 blinds. Okay, so the thing is here, obviously Lex jamming. It's so much easier to jam than it is to call. So I was thinking, does Nacho even call it off here with ace 10? Might just let it go sometimes. It's not suited. Nacho says maybe you're going to have some ace 5, ace 4 suited. Queen 4-4 flop. Queen would do, and 8 would do. Nacho has quite a bit of outs here facing the 3s. Instead we see a 9 and Lex gets the W. Wah wee wee wah. Just quickly see Nacho starting things off with the king. Getting a little lucky here. Hello Toddy with the big stack. It would have been fun to see if Hello Toddy just got this through pre. Because they would be in first place and they would have just done this a whole lot. But Nacho on the very first hand wakes up with kings. And again, like I was saying earlier, just did a great job of playing off the big stack. Got lucky on the very first hand. Got rewarded for his patience. And then played a great game. Anyways, so that's the end of the show. So if you made it all the way through, thanks for checking this shit out. Hopefully we'll see you in another one. Until then, adios amigos.